Hello students, today we are going to discuss another new topic of sociology, that is marginalized group, differently abled people. Here we are going to discuss about the disabled people. Everyone we know that has his own unique talent, and in spite of being physically or mentally challenged, these people are strong and talented in their own manner. They have to face many problems at many stages of life, but due to strong willpower, they know how to succeed. We all know that if God takes one thing from someone, then it gives back one too. It's our own choice to sit and cry for a loss or to find that unique quality of yourself and challenge people know how to fight and develop a willpower. At every stage of their life, problems are waiting for them in a very different manner sometimes. But with time, they know how to get rid of such problems and move on. These people are inspirational, and we should just learn plenty of or many of chapters from their life and get motivated from them. So let's move towards the disabled people. And people with the disabilities are among the most marginalized group in the world. People with disabilities have poor health outcome, lower education achievement, less economic participation, and higher rate of poverty than people without disabilities. Disabilities, we can say that it is a condition in which the function of a certain part of the body is quite impaired compared to that of others. A person may either be born disabled or may become disabled later in life due to illness or accidentally. Broadly speaking, a person may suffer from mental hearing, speech, mental hearing, speech, visual, or physical disabilities, or a combination of it. So the physical challenged person are the one of the most excluded section of the society, and also they face number of problems in their daily life. In order to bring them in the mainstream, both the central as the state governments are introducing many welfare measures and schemes. To avail these welfare measures and the schemes, uh, we are going to discuss about these things here in this topic. Physically challenged person about their problems in their daily life and also their awareness about the various government welfare programs, policies, and so let's understand that disability is now understood to be a human rights issue. People are disabled by society, not just by their bodies. These barriers can be overcome if government, non-governmental organization, professionals, and people with disabilities and their families work together. Means it's very easy to come out if any person is disabled, if he's having or family support and the society support, he can easily just overcome from that those problems, and the problems which he's going to face because of the he's facing because of the disability can be just lessened. So now the question arises that who are marginalized person? Marginalized population are group and communities that experience discrimination and exclusion, social, political, and economic, because of the unequal power relationships across economic, political, social, and cultural dimensions. People with disabilities are one of the most marginalized segments in the society, as many of them remain deprived of gainful employment. Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, they are working a lot for them. Disabled people are large minority group starved of services. So they are the marginalized because the programs and the policies they are implemented in the center and they are seated on the fringes of the society and the benefits of this policy and program they are unable to avail and they are unable to avail it. So they are the women, the children, old age people and the disabled people, they come into the category of the marginalized section. So disabled people are large minority groups starved of services and mostly ignored by society. They are ignored by the society and not given importance by the society, as well as they have to face many problems like they live in isolation, segregation, poverty, charity, and even pity of the other people. Disability include blindness, low vision, leprosy, GERD, hearing impairment, locomotor disability, or the mental retardation and mental illness. It can be in any form. Due to the discrimination, they do not go to the public places and not free to get those rights which a non-disabled person gets. They are deprived of education and employment, and they face problem and challenges in their life because they are not accepted, they are ignored, totally neglected by the society. And inaccessibility, the problem which they face then are the inaccessibility. Most of the government buildings or the private offices and the other infrastructure are inaccessible for the disabled population. Another is low representation. The disabled person has a very low representation in the field like government, jobs, politics, economy, etc. Barriers to healthcare or the lack of appropriate services for the people with disability is significant barrier to healthcare. Affordability of health service and transportation are the two main reasons why people with disabilities do not receive need health care. And the D is the education system is still not inclusive. Like the school buildings are not accessible, teachers are not well trained to help such students which are dealing with the special needs. Even the curriculum does not take care of the disabled person. And the attitudinal barriers are there, the attitudinal barriers which help in the stigmatization and the discrimination, deny people with a disability their dignity and the potential, and are one of the greatest obstacle of achieving equality of opportunity and social integration. And next is the inaccessible communication system, prevent access to information and knowledge and opportunities to participate, lack of services or problems with service delivery also restrict to the participation of people with disabilities. Institutional barriers include many laws, policies, strategies, or the practices that discriminate against people with disabilities. And the discrimination may not be intended, but system can indirectly exclude people with disability by not taking their needs into account. So disabled people are the people with the physical or the mental incapabilities and include the blindness, deafness and the paralysis, while common mental disabilities include autism and the effects of Down syndrome. Disabilities generally vary in severity. One person with Down syndrome, for instance, may be limited in terms of activities available, while another person, only relatively mildly affected, may be able to hold down a job and be much more self reliant. There are four types of physically challenged. They are physically handicapped, blind, deaf, dumb. The term disabled suggests a state of helplessness, something which falls short of norms or standard. Physical fitness example, which is physical fitness disability, refer to any limitation experienced by the impaired individuals in comparison with the activity of the unimpaired individuals of the similar age and sex. So Now, the common problems of the physically challenged people they face that the public transport related problems comprises the problems related design of the vehicles, high and incompatible steps of the vehicle from the platform level, and the road constraint environment, encroachment of the bus stops by vendors, temporary structure and parked vehicle stopping of the buses flat from actual bus bays, and thus causing a great inconvenience to the disabled people. Feeling of insecurity is also another problem which they face, and by the disabled while traveling in the private buses. Disabled person is largely dependent on the family because they get economically and emotionally support from family. The disabled person also get emotional support from friends and relatives and also get encouragement. So the inadequate data and the statics also, the lack of rigorous and the comparable data and statics combined with the lack of evidence on a program that works, lack of planning, often delay in understanding and action on disability inclusion. And the main problem is that they don't expect the disabled person, they don't expect any sympathy or pity on them. We usually look them with as a sorrowful person, as they cannot do anything in their life, and they always expect us to talk usual as we talk to the other person, how we are talking with the others. So the use of the toilet, as I said, is very horrible for them because of the disability. In the crowded places, they will undergo extreme difficulties to cope up with the situation. If you are a disabled couple with a being poor, life will become upside down. Getting married, another problem because nobody is ready to give a daughter, his daughter to disabled person, and again in getting married will take a back seat when there is a disability. So we can say that there are various problems which they have to that they, emotional problems they also face, and they won't get the job. They are neglected. They won't get the jobs, proper jobs in the market. And the people feel like petty towards them, and they have a sympathy towards them, and they though they are talented, they are talented, though these disabled are talented, but then also they do not get their right, and these people they do not want that they should be treated in that way, in a sympathetical way. And too much expenses on the medicine and the treatment. So that is another problem which is faced by the disabled, that if it's a disabled, he needed a wheelchair or needed a lot of medical expenses, and the burden on the society, sometimes society also feels, and sometimes the family also feel that they are the burden because a big chunk of money is spent on the treatment, and for treatment for them, as well as sometimes they, in many families, if a person is disabled, you cannot leave alone in the home, you have to keep a nurse over there. So they started many of the families, they started dumping these people, they are leaving these people in some old age home, or in the on the roads or on some other places, and they want to just get rid at any cost. They don't want to take the responsibility, and towards them, the family, if the family support is there with the disabled, he can achieve anything in life. And they always need motivation, and that can come from the family members, relatives, friend, and definitely society, if if we are going to treat them on the equal, on the big ground of the equality. So there are various steps which are taken by the government to just for the betterment of the disabled people. And the government is all set to launch the accessible Indian campaign, which will focus on making India a more disabled friendly nation, from more accessible public places to disabled friendly television programs. And here we are going to discuss the 7 amazing initiatives which will be a part of the campaign. And these seven initiatives are: an audit of 100 government buildings will be done, and by July 2016 they will be all converted into a fully accessible buildings. Team of experts again will work extensively to conduct awareness programs and workshops for sensitizing all the main stakeholders, including the builders and the activities. Third, a web portal will also be created where people can upload pictures and comment on the accessibility of any building. And the next is government is also planning to introduce a set-top box to make TV programs more useful for the visually impaired. And fifth, the sign languages will be introduced in more than 25% of the programs, starting with Doordarshan to make television mode disabled friendly. And sixth, the content on the government website will also be converted from the text to speech mode through screen reader programs for the visually impaired, as well as a mobile app will be launched to provide information on the disabled friendly public utilities in a city. So these are the seven steps, these are the seven initiatives which are taken by the government, and there are various steps which can be taken by the government to make the life of the people very smooth, and by providing them jobs, and by providing them jobs in the government services, their seats are reserved for them. And so most of the officials of the Anganwadi programs are also going on, and a great proportion consider themselves like a disabled person, a burden of the family, because since they do not in a position to support their family members in any way, while three of the 10 expenses that their inability to financially support their family in a major setback. But now the time is changing, and Social Welfare Department organized tour every year for 3 to 4 days for the physical challenged person. Only 9 respondents have attended such tours. Expect one of the respondents have received the financial assistance also, and there is the program, the providing them the food. And in the light of the above analysis, it is possible to outline certain basic tenets on the planning of the rehabilitation, rehabilitation. Respondent expresses that increase in the amount of the financial assistance, like government is also providing scholarships so that they can be motivated, they can go for the higher education, and they can make their career. They can financially they can become stronger and stable and stabilize their career. And the government also taking a step to create the awareness programs, welfare schemes through the Anganwadi workers, like television, radio, newspapers. Respondent also opine that it would be beneficial if government give money and for travel rather than the bus pass, since they have to wait only for the government buses to travel. Suitable self-employment opportunities are also provided by the government, like the seats are reserved in the government services for the disabled people, and they get relaxations uh, for the physically challenged people. And also they should be enabled to a physically challenged person to be economically independent, and provide the capacity, the building, and the integrate them into the society. So rehabilitation should be viewed as a total community service involving a combination of preventive, curative, and servicing aspect. Government should ensure that every child with a disability has access to free education in an appropriate environment until he or she attains 18 years of age. It is observed that the physically challenged people do not consider disability as a problem. They are confident of performing jobs, but only when they are depressed, they feel that they are unable to do the work. So most of the officials and the Anganwadi workers are not aware of the various government schemes which introduced for the welfare of the physical challenge in general. They are only aware about the financial assistance and the provision of 10 kg of rice per month, but they are not aware of the other types of welfare schemes and measures. Therefore, it is necessary for the officials and the other service providers must know the various welfare schemes of the physically challenged, and that in turn help them to introduce the same to be beneficiaries. The new schemes should be given sufficient publicity and awareness. Campaigns should be conducted at various levels. The respondents also stated that it takes more time for processing of their request and availing benefit. Therefore, a genuine attempt has to be made to remove any discrimination, ensuring that development benefits, thereby integrating this group into society's mainstream. Thank you.